And here we are, Game 4 of TOT Mondragon versus Braddock from Russia in the round of 16 of the TSL, sponsored by PokerStrategy.com. And here at the bottom we have Braddock spawning as the Purple Terran pieces, and we got the blue Jergy as Mondragon at the top. And, you know, what's something really interesting to note is that all these games have been over 20 minutes. These have been really,
Yeah,
really long games.
yeah, it's really nice to see. I mean, I felt like there was a TSL curse or something. Everyone was going to be 3-0'd, and if they weren't 3-0'd, it was going to be over in an hour, which I mean is always nice. I have the rest of my Sunday going, but if I'm going to fill my Sunday with something, it's probably going to be StarCraft. So, I mean, let's get these epic, massive games going, and that's what we're seeing here in this series between Braddock and Mondragon.
Yeah, and now already in this spot, we're seeing, Mondragon do some really smart things, good overlord positioning. Sometimes players even like sending that overlord directly to the right, just sort of at a weird, funky angle to spot any sort of proxies going on. But I think Mondragon knows Braddock a little bit better, and he's going to go ahead and just play, very normally with his overlord, send it straight away. We do see a 9-drone scout. That way, this isn't so much to spot cheese, I feel, but more so to spot any sort of cute fast gas play, because look at this. Braddock is already walling in his front, almost certainly going to be doing some sort of fast gas option. It's great to get that drone in early to really know what's up before the wall off completes.
Oh, that's so true. Once the wall off is done, there's nothing you can do. You can't send that overlord in. There's no way to get any zerglings in there since any wall on destination is zergling proof. So they just wall off, get one marine, and anything could be happening behind that wall. So now Mondragon's going to get this zergling, or excuse me, this drone in, going to be harassing that SCV, and he's going to be able to come over and see the refinery he's making for Terran. So he's going to know it's going to probably be some sort of vulture opening, and he's going to be able to deal with it accordingly.
Oh my god, he might not get in. Oh, there's the drone just sneaking in barely. Sees the fast gas. Okay, this is where you start having a lot of your deviations go on. Go back to Mondragon's base. Already see an extra drone was made. He's not going to be pooling on 11. He's going to be pooling on 12 instead. And I like these sorts of adjustments because a lot of players over-adjust. They'll see fast gas and they'll do something like go third hatch before pool. The issue with that is that you sort of abandon all the timings that you're used to in favor of something you think might be good, but actually has very odd timings that's really difficult to pull off. I mean, 3 hatch before pool has its own set of styles that you need to attune to. So I love the fact that Mondragon is just sneaking in an extra drone or so, basically making his play a little bit stronger than it normally would, as opposed to completely different than it normally would be.
Right, and we see everything pushed back just a little bit. He's sending this drone. I'm assuming this is going to be a third hatchery, but it looks like he actually just wants to block the ramp. I'm surprised he's building up to so many minerals without making a third hatchery.
Oh, there
Another
it is. He
drone
was just
coming back.
slipping right through, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do see this nice little block here. It's a little unfortunate that it got up there, but, no big deal. Mondragon, I love this a lot more. I love 3 hatching against the fast gas way more than 2 hatching. You have to be very, very, very familiar with subtle timings, and you have to have really good control in order to defend it. So I like his choice here. If we go to Braddock's base, he's doing everything as normal as can be. He's just going for the really fast vulture into expand.
Right, and I mean, people not that familiar with StarCraft, vulture control has gotten so good that vultures can basically kill infinite zerglings unless they have speed. So if you let a vulture into your main, it's going to be disastrous. I like Mondragon's positioning here with this very forward sunken colony. He's just going to need something to back that up. I doubt Braddock is going to run past it into the main, but you never know. Now the Zerglings coming in, just going to do some harassment. Braddock showing off his little patrol micro, going to take out those Zerglings, and then just move towards a natural. Mondragon sees it with his Overlord, sees what's going on, gets that Overlord out of there, and progresses normally. I like how this is going so far, excuse me.
Yeah, it looks like the most normal mech play in the book, which is to do that very fast tech to the factory, and just to get that one little extra vulture to poke around, do some damage as you expand, defend yourself from zergling. But this is something that's really unique that we're seeing Braddock do. He's getting a tank already. Instead of getting a second factory, instead of preparing for some sort of, Mutalisk opening, that's actually most common. You see players throw down a second factory in an armory or something like that, but instead a tank coming out already. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Braddock try to hide that even.
Yeah, really strange. No siege mode coming out of the tank. Just a single tank he's going to keep I can't imagine he's going to be pushing forward with that at all. So we're going to keep an eye what he does with that tank. The command center finishing for Braddock, transferring those SCVs over. It looks like Mondragon, or excuse me, Braddock unloading his barracks, or his bunker. Mondragon, oh, okay, he's sneaking this Overlord in. He really wants to get a good sense of what is his opponent doing, and this is something Mondragon pretty much always does, is sacrifice an Overlord against mech, just to see what's going on. It looks like Braddock not finishing it, now getting a little nervous, coming back to the buy. I find that very strange that he didn't finish that.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with the Overlord, but I was just praying a drone was going to get planted down at the bottom left. I think I'm starting to see, though, why there was that very early tank coming out. I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of cute little swing around the back action going on there, because we do see an SCV position there, but a lot of players really, really love doing something where they, you know, sneak an evolution chain, or excuse me, sneak an engineering bay back there, build a bunch of turrets, throw a tank up, and then just try to take out the expansion as quickly as possible.
The way Mondragon is dealing with mech play is very different from how pretty much anyone else does it. We see there's no Spire, and he's actually getting lurkers out of his Hydralisk den, so he might be thinking about sneaking some Hydras at the back and attacking from back there, but that's kind of going to give away his hatchery, so that doesn't make too much sense. I don't know what he's looking to do here, if he wants to expand a lot and just use lurkers to defend it, but I really feel like you need that Spire out to give you a little bit of map control.
You know, it's kind of funny. Lurkers are, in fact, so bad against mech that in a lot of circumstances, players just sort of assume that the Zerg isn't going to get him early on, because what I'm noting is that Zerg really doesn't, or excuse me, Terran really doesn't have the best detection anywhere right now. No drop or anything going on in the back of the base, but that's okay because there's turrets going up there already. Looks like Braddock's going to be okay, but you know, it's just kind of funny to think about the fact that there's some serious vulnerabilities going on in the back here, and now we're starting to see the instance of that bottom left hatchery being used properly, which is to just get a very early Hydralisk out and sort of attack from there. And then you can use all your other lurkers and Hydralisk defensively. You don't have to worry about running into mines.
We see a lurker coming to sneak around to the bottom left and join up with the other lurker that's already being morphed down there. We can see Braddock is not really aware of what's going on. He's putting up a lot of turrets, getting a lot of Goliaths. I wouldn't be surprised if he had the Goliath range upgrade completed. And now there goes the lurker, just going to go to work on these SCVs. Braddock's got to be feeling like, what the hell is going on? Doesn't have an academy, has no way to detect this. Putting up a starport, but it's going to be a while before he has anything that sees lurkers.
Yeah, there's the academy going down right now underneath his main command center. There's some turrets hanging out there, a little bit red-cheeked because they're never going to be used. This isn't so awful right now for Braddock. I mean, he really needs to think right now how he can put pressure back on his opponent. There's nothing too wrong with trying to do some sort of little gentle pushes out of the front, but nothing like too overcommitting. This is really interesting to see how this detection is becoming such a significant issue, and you just never see this sort of stuff happen.
Oh, okay, Braddock dealing with it by sending in the barracks and sending in the range upgraded Goliath to take out the Overlord. Very nice, except that he's grouped all his SCVs up again, and there's another Overlord headed over here, so he's got to be careful. That could be disastrous. Now, it looks like one turret is in range, so Mondragon is going to be drawn back. He's also got this lurker down by the mineral patch behind Braddock's main, which can kind of hit anything that comes, and also an SCV if it comes to mine that out. Now he's switching, he's got a Spire up, he's getting Carapace, and I like that he's taking the top right expansion at this point. Got a decent saturation on that, and he's also mining from bottom left, which is a little strange, but hey, why not?
Yeah, you know, I actually just took vision off everyone but Braddock, and I note that Braddock has not yet spotted that bottom left expansion. It really looks like he has. It looks like he's right on the cusp of those minerals, but he still hasn't quite spotted it. We see a bunch of vultures with speed and everything being researched. A good time to do this, because right as your upgrades are finishing, you're going to be spending a whole bunch of gas getting the +2, +1. So it sets economy up nicely to be able to do that. And we see a nice little scan and picking off some remaining lurkers at the front, but a lot of expanding going on by Mondragon. I'm not so sure if Braddock's going to be able to deal with this sort of onslaught of massive, massive units.
I feel like outside of the bottom left hatchery, we've now settled into a standard game of Hydralisk with +1 ranged attack and Mutalisk with +1 carapace against upgraded Goliaths and a few tanks and vultures. Braddock trying to push out, but it just feels like we've come to standard, but we didn't start heading down that pathway, but somehow we got there. It's like when you open up with a very strange chess opening and somehow you get to standard, even though you didn't think you were going that way. We see vultures now streaming out with mines, one going down, but that's going to be... There's a lot of vultures here, actually, setting down a lot of mines. Mondragon trying to set up, and he gets the lurker block. That's key. Braddock's going to be able to lay some mines, drive through, yes, and now he can go in there, but Mutalisk in the back, taking out a lot of vultures. Vulture's going to have to get out here and quickly kill these drones, because they're going to get picked off very quickly here.
Yeah, I mean, just beautiful timing on those Mutalisks. Couldn't have come out a second earlier. I mean, nice attack, though, by Braddock. I mean, those minerals, those vultures, aren't going to be too useful in the main push. It's a good opportunity to just get a little extra gas, like we were saying earlier, to get those upgrades. And now we have the science vessels coming out. We have a Radiate being researched. It looks like Braddock's going for the usual mech death army, the you will never ever break me style army, but, you know, it might take me a while to kill you. That's why I increasingly love this bottom left expansion, because the Zerg players, or excuse me, the Terran players expect to get his half of the map. And look at this, we see a little lurker stuff going on at the bottom, but being fairly easily repelled. But, you know, the Terran's thinking, I'm going to get my bottom half. I'm going to get my expansion at the right and then 2 expansions at the left. But if Zerg has already mined those out, that's an excellent tool for Zerg to really eat into the Terran's eventually huge army.
We see +1 finished on the Hydralisk. Mondragon moves toward Hive. The Hive is just about done. Braddock on... he's on 1-1 with 2 armories, both idle. Excuse me, +1 is not idle. Looks like he's deciding to push out here. I think this is probably just for the purpose of taking that bottom right expansion. We see the command center floating over there. He probably just wants to put a little pressure, get a little breathing room, and then take that expansion. But I'm a little worried about the amount of lurkers and hydras that are at bottom. I mean, even though he's got this tank, all it takes is a lurker to stroll up and kill a lot of SCVs, and that's what we see Mondragon looking to do now.
Yeah, and it looks like these lurkers are trying to get in a good position. The tank, instead of shooting the lurkers, is shooting the hydras. There we go, now the tank's shooting the right thing, and it looks like this one tank, look how well positioned it is, just pulled back nicely, so that way it can hit everything at the back, and hit stuff at the front if need be. And the Mutalisks are trying to do some stuff at the right. Oh my god, look at these Goliaths just murder those Mutalisks somehow. Another Vulture Raid going up at the top left, going to get denied pretty quickly by all these Hydralisks. Does manage to sneak in though, so maybe it'll be a drone kill or two. But it looks like the mine's going to go off, and that was that.
Yeah, there was a big irradiate on that Mutalisk group taking it out, and that basically denies Mondragon's ability for harassment. He's still got this lurker at bottom left, but I noticed whenever he brings it in, Braddock is very quick to run all his SCVs over to the gas, so not that much of an issue. But the big issue here, as you said, is that entire mineral only is going to be mined out. Mondragon's army is getting a little bit scary here. I'm getting a little nervous for Braddock. Mondragon sitting at 130, Braddock up around 113, so that's not the spot we want to be in as Terran. Braddock really needs to get these units out, control his half of the map. I don't know if I even want to see him attacking at this point, because he might just be walking into a death trap.
Ooh, nice Vulture Raid going on at the top right expansion. Look, all these drones are falling completely vulnerable. I think Braddock's going to get every single one of these drones. There's a lurkers trying to run in there, but alas, it is too late. Planting some mines here right in front of those lurkers. Going to back off. Look at that timing. Excellent, excellent job. If we go back into the bottom of Braddock's main, one of the armories is researching, but the other is not. I really think that armor is pretty important. I mean, the attack obviously more important because it makes tanks an imbalanced unit, but, you know, the armor is just as useful, you know, for those Mutalisk bounces, for the Zerglings that all Zergs should eventually make.
Right. I'm surprised Mondragon is still making so many lurkers. I can't even imagine what the purpose of that is. Typically, we see big armies of Muta Hydra. The Mutas take out the tanks, the Hydras take out the Goliaths, and I don't really see what purpose lurkers serve in that, but here we are with 5 lurkers, maybe just to deny Vulture harass, not too sure. Mondragon getting really scary really quickly. He's got his Defiler mound up, and he's actually researching Plague, and oh my god, he's getting a Greater Spire again. Why, oh why?
Well, it's actually not so bad if you get an army that's, you know, maxed out, because if you have 12 Mutalisks lying around, they're going to be a little bit more useful as 12 Guardians. But really, I think that only is a significant concern. Once you're getting close to the max count. Right now seems just a little bit too early, I'd say. And oh, look at the bottom left. All these vultures doing so much damage to these drones. Drones really not going to be able to do so much. At this back left base, I think that this would have been the most useful location to start getting some defilers, because that's how you really siege up that expansion and permanently prevent your opponent from really mining there any longer.
Right, I wouldn't have even minded to see a little Nidus back there, so you could just slip in some lurkers, be really annoying, and reinforce it that way. Even just jump in and get a big plague off when the army's moving out there. As we know, Mondragon has plague now. And we see he's switched over, started getting +1 melee and +1 carapace, even though +3 ranged isn't finished. So maybe he wants to add on with some Zerglings to his army. Probably not going to be Ultralists, as they're not that great against mech, but Ultralists are always okay. Some Vultures now trying to sneak around to the top right, but that's going to get shut down by some Muta Hydra. And looks like Braddock has mined out the back entrance, so he can sneak around there, kill this hatchery, and then look to take his natural. Mondragon coming around the left side. Defiler gets instantly irradiated, puts up a swarm. Doesn't have enough to plague, as Mondragon doesn't have the energy upgrade yet.
Oh, but look at the center. There are only 2 tanks. That's it. 2 tanks in the entire army of Mondragon advancing forward. Those Hydros are being really good about taking out those mines. Oh man, look at this beautiful push coming in. These swarms are going to do some serious damage. Looks like this bottom right expansion is going to die immediately. Lurkers, generally not good against mech, but if you can just hold a handful of positions, that is what the Lurker Defiler is going to help you with the most. I mean, there is no way that Braddock can possibly get to that bottom right expansion. It is done.
That's very true, actually. Lurker's very, very good against Swarm. We see a Vulture raid coming to the top right, going to get shut down by some Hydralists that were left there. Mondragon doing very well to control key points of the map. We see if there was Hydras underneath this Swarm, he could just use tanks and blast through. But these 2 Lurkers make that impossible, as Lurkers don't take damage, typically, other than some fringe situations from tank fire. So a few Lurkers holding it back while the Hydras get in to kill the command center. We see Braddock at 134 supply. Mondragon spending his minerals very well suddenly. Where did this Zerg play come from? As he's sitting at 155, excuse me.
And it looks like he is, in fact, going for Ultralists. We see the mound down. I don't see any Ultras out yet. We see some Guardians morphed at the top right. Totally sweet. Probably just going to be there defensively to deal with some Vulture harassment. It looks like Braddock is trying to slowly ooze over to this left side to get a little bit more resources. He's rebuilding the command center so he can take the right expansion. And even though we see Braddock, fully advanced forward into the center area, he doesn't really have any expansions to boot. So Mondragon's economic advantage is going to slowly eat into this giganto army of Braddock.
Right, looks like Braddock is aimed at the top right, or at least he was moving that way, just setting up some mines. A few Guardians coming down. There's 2 Guardians down here, not sure what their purpose is. A lot of science vessels for mech play. Well, anything more than 1 seems to be a lot against mech play. And I don't see the switch to Ultralist yet. Ultralist speed being upgraded. I'm not sure if Carapace is completed, but looks like he's working on those melee upgrades still. And Mondragon taking control of the map very well. He's got 9 all but secured, and it's going to be hard for Terran to move up this ramp, even with tanks. And the other point to think about here is Braddock is trying to expand to the bottom right. Mondragon takes the left side because it's so hard to move back and forth for Braddock.
Yeah, just completely exploiting that immobility of mech. That is the key. You just want to be able to hit multiple locations at once, expand all over the place. Looks like Braddock's doing a pretty good job of defending everything. I mean, if you look at the left, he has about 8 tanks over there, and if you look at the right, he has like a full control group of tanks siege, and mines are being planted down everywhere. Very nice job by Braddock to be moving everywhere, and it looks like there's a big push coming forward right now from Mondragon, but look at all these tanks just ripping through it with ease. Look at this. No challenge whatsoever repelling this attack. Might look like Braddock's stabilizing a little bit. Might have a good shot at pulling back in this game.
There was actually a lot of Overlords heading down there, and there's a lot of units in there. It looks like Mondragon was trying to do some sort of like OV bombs, but he just didn't get out there and in time. It was a little bit sloppy, and this is a problem Zerg can get into in Destination. If you just cut the map in half, well, Terran is so cost efficient that Zerg needs to do something to get it done. And looks like this is what Zerg is trying to do. Mondragon wants to drop into that command center at the bottom right. Here comes the drop. Meanwhile,
natural. There's a lurker there, and look how many guys it pulled back there. And look, he's still trying to scan there, and while he's dealing with that, the drop at the right side, it looks like he might even be unloading into the main, just completely ignoring this right expansion, just dropping the ever smallest amount of units to distract. And look at all these supply depots, so vulnerable. There's going to be almost nothing that Braddock can do.
Right, and this is the pain of mech plays. It's just so slow to do anything. And there's 2 Guardians at the 9 o'clock, actually. A single Guardian looks like it's breaking the push. Mondragon has 1 Defiler at 9 o'clock, just casting Swarm over and over and over. And look at Mondragon taking out these supply depots, putting Braddock's infrastructure back into the red. Braddock needs to get it together, just stay calm, rebuild, and reestablish his position. Looks like he saved that command center, lost all the SCVs at bottom right, but he still has a command center, and he's got a lot of tanks there defending. He's still in this game.
Yeah, I mean, just unbelievably incredible play we're seeing right now. Look at Mondragon just sending stuff to the bottom left, moving that Overlord in, and this is exactly the way you want to deal with mech. And look at this, 6 Ultralists coming in. Tanks and Mines going to do a ton of damage to those Ultralists, but there's just not enough units anywhere. And look at Mondragon coming from above with Swarm and Lurkers. Mines doing an incredible amount of damage, but still just not quite enough to hold it. And it looks like the one remaining expansion for Braddock is going to fall. That expansion at the far right died with that earlier drop. There's almost no money that's coming in right now for Braddock.
And Braddock again using this trick of Swarm and Lurkers just to control positions. Mondragon putting a plague on the Science Vessels. Very nice. Getting the Ultralists right into those SCVs, killing them with Irradiate. Wow. Braddock at a lowly 97 supply. Mondragon just really busting in. He's loading up for a big drop here, a Doom drop. Looks like, okay, it's not that big. About 4 Overlords, 4 or 5 Overlords can move to the main. But just really annoying because of the immobility of Terran mech. When those few units come into your main, it takes so long to pull all your units back. And when that happens, a window opens up, and Mondragon's just carving through all these windows like a hot knife through butter. He's just really, really tearing the defenses of Braddock apart.
You said it, Chill. And if you look right here, at the left side, I mean, there's this push coming up that, again, Mondragon's just shutting down immediately. But go down to the expansion. No SCVs there. If you look at the natural Braddock, virtually no SCVs. No SCVs at the right either. And look, there's a small Zergling drop coming into the main. Nothing too enormous, but just something to take out these supply depots a little. Spread this army a little bit more thinly, because look at the center of the map. Just to the left of that 9 o'clock expansion, huge push coming in. Look, about 12 Ultras coming in there. Let's see if these tanks can hold on. Nicely placed Dark Swarms, but I just do not think there's going to be enough stuff for Braddock to defend this.
So many cows just driving through. Good God.
And Braddock's still doing a decent job of focusing elsewhere. He used the self-irradiate trick on the Science Vessels to eliminate this Zergling threat, but not at the cost of his left, or not at the cost of keeping his left expansion alive. I mean, it's gone. And there is right expansion just finished, and there's only 1 SCV there, and there's only 5 SCVs available to mine at the natural expansion for Braddock. He just has virtually no infrastructure anymore at all.
Right, I wish I could get a count of Braddock's SCV count. It looks like maybe 10. I see 10 SCVs on the map. That's not a good sign. Mondragon taking the 3 o'clock, getting that set up, and at this point he can basically move wherever he wants. He's probably not going to get into a direct battle, as that's never a good idea with mech. We see him loading up a few more Overlords, coming to harass the expansion again. Swinging around the back, there's virtually nothing there, and look how many Ultras and Lings are moving in. There's basically a tank to hold off 12 Ultras and Hydras and Zerglings. Oh my.
Yeah, there is going to be no way that Braddock deals with this. This is the finishing blow right now. And notice how Mondragon never once attacked the main army. Look, here's a big drop coming on, just this Doom drop on all these tanks, the last remaining forces of Braddock. But it looks like Braddock, even though he placed in the top 4 of last TSL, it looks like he's going to be eliminated right here. All his factories in his main are lifted. All these, oh god, look at this. Good game. Braddock is out 1-3.
Wow, we can remember last TSL Mondragon getting eliminated, I believe in the round of 16 by Draven. So paying it back, eliminating Braddock here today.
Yeah, what a great series. All those games were really, really long. A whole bunch of 25-minute games in a row. And we got to see that incredibly insane Zerg vs. Zerg between Rhett and Castro, where Rhett only had one extractor left in a game that he won. I mean, just an incredible caliber of play. And we have even more awesome games to look forward to next week. I mean, I believe that Mondragon is now going on to face Phoenix. So it means he's going to have yet another sick Terran player that he has to overcome.
Right, and just to detail what else we have next weekend. These games are all going to happen next weekend. The round of 8 going to be fully casted Saturday and Sunday. We've got JF taking on White Raw. JF proving yesterday that he still got it. I assumed the kid was just playing Dota and had given up on StarCraft, but oh no. Some of the craziest games we've seen in the TSL thus far from that series. And then, oh, I'm crying just thinking about Noni against Idra. Noni making, yeah, seriously, Noni making predictions for himself that he's gonna 3-0 Tarson, coming true, and the follow-up to that prediction was if he 3-0s, he will also beat Idra. So you need to come see that.
I mean, serious drama going on there. I mean, I'm not quite sure what games I'm casting, but I'm ready to just slit some throats to make sure I can watch Noni play Idra. That's going to be absolutely fantastic. And at the final game, we have, in the bottom bracket, we have Rhett playing against Sen. Now, Rhett had it was a pretty intense series of Rhett against Castro, and Sen dominated Draco. So I'm really interested to see if Rhett will be able to take out Sen. So just to recap, we have one Protoss versus Protoss of JF versus White Raw. We got a Protoss versus Terran of Idra versus Noni. We got a Zerg versus Terran of Mondragon against Phoenix, and we got a Zerg versus Zerg of Sen against Rhett. What an incredible distribution of games.
Yeah, it's going to be juicy, and I mean, it's setting up so nice here. We had, a few heroes, a few weird players in the, unknowns in the round of 48, but just looking at these names who have made it to the round of 8, wow. So, make sure you tune in next weekend. We're going to have the same pairing. It's going to be the casting Archon. It's going to be 2 Lings, 1 Mike. I guess we'll see you next week.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks for watching.